Hello and welcome to the Webcast for Thursday, January 2nd. I'm South Ops meteorologist Jonathan O'Brien. We still have some high clouds out there this morning, but they've generally shifted north versus prior days, and the marine layer has really been compressed this morning and is almost non-existent now, with even most of the beaches already in the clear. That's all consistent with high pressure peaking in strength over the region today, with the warmest day of the week on tap. We still have some light offshore flow out there this morning, and today will be the last day where we see these local north to east winds of 10 to 20 miles per hour with gusts to 30 miles per hour in the mountains and through the passes of Southern California. It'll be another very dry day as well. We saw poor recoveries in a lot of Southern California last night, and minimum humidities today will be mainly in the single digits and teens away from the immediate coast, with continued higher RH in Central California. We'll also see one more round of poor recoveries tonight. The marine layer will start to re-deepen tonight, but foothills and mountains will still remain very dry. And as high pressure peaks overhead, today will be the warmest day of the week, with the warmer Southern California valleys reaching the mid-70s to low 80s. Water vapor satellite this morning really nicely shows that ridge of high pressure now centered directly overhead of us, but you can also see a well-defined trough over the Pacific making progress in our direction, and that will be ours by later tomorrow and into Saturday. As the trough approaches, it will bring breezy westerly winds beginning Friday afternoon and continuing through the night. This is something to be aware of, especially along the desert slopes of Southern California. It's basically a ridge breakdown type pattern, which can be a critical fire weather pattern in the right circumstances. As the winds increase, we'll see lingering dry air with low RHs along the desert slopes, and so fire weather conditions will become elevated for a time on Friday afternoon and evening. However, as that trough moves overhead, it will eventually cool us down substantially, starting Friday, but especially by Saturday, when valley highs will only reach the mid-50s to mid-60s. The marine layer will become much deeper with drizzle possible in the foothills. RH will become high pretty much across the board, and will scour out any of those elevated fire weather conditions. But like we've been discussing, one thing this will not be is a major rainmaker. Showers are likely over Central California, and especially north of a Monterey-Fresno County line on Friday afternoon into early Saturday. But it's a minor system with accumulations mostly under half an inch, locally a little higher in the Central Sierra, and snow levels around 7,000 feet. As that storm departs, breezy northerly winds will then develop Saturday night and into Sunday, including some sundowners over Santa Barbara, but there's no big concerns with those given RH will remain pretty high. And otherwise, Sunday into Monday will likely feature a gradual warming and drying trend. Some light offshore flow is likely those days, but no major fire weather concerns are expected. Next week remains the big concern period. It's still several days away, but models have been very consistent for days now on a strong ridge of high pressure developing just off the west coast, while an unusually deep trough of low pressure dives into the desert southwest. This is a pretty extreme and unusual weather pattern that would be conducive for a major offshore wind event over California. At this point, it's fair to say that most data does indicate a strong, dry, and potentially long-duration or multi-round Santa Ana wind event beginning by late Tuesday, and some guidance is even showing potentially near-historic wind speeds possible. But it's still a good 5 to 6 plus days away, and there are less likely but still very much possible alternate scenarios on the table. These include a very warm but more moderate wind event, or a strong but much colder event with higher RH. While confidence in the eventual outcome is still only medium, there is potential for critical to extremely critical fire weather conditions by Tuesday and beyond next week. The potential for large fire will be low through this weekend. Again, localized elevated conditions will continue over the most wind-prone corridors of Southern California today, with locally elevated conditions then along the desert slopes on Friday as westerly winds increase. The dead fuel moisture will continue to lower away from the San Joaquin Valley today, then will increase late Friday and especially Saturday before drying renews once again. However, in the longer term, high-risk days have been added for much of Southern California for Tuesday and Wednesday on account of next week's potential. This is further out than the high risks would typically be issued, and it is still possible the forecast could change. However, with at least a medium chance of a very high-end fire weather event, an early issuance was necessitated. So to summarize, next week's forecast should be monitored very closely. That's it for today's webcast. Thanks for joining us. The next one will be on Friday, January 3rd.